Let's talk to our next guest. He too will be going to Tampa Bay this Saturday. He will be in action on Saturday. UFC on Fox 19 in Tampa Bay, the home of the Lightning. He faces Santiago Ponzinibbio, and his name is Court McGee. He is joining us on the phone right now. Court, how are you?
Fantastic.
Wow, I like it. Okay, that really popped in my ears. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you back. 4 months after your last fight? I say that because you had a pretty long stretch between your last fight and the one before that. You had a 2-year stretch because of a very serious wrist injury. Does it just feel like, is it a victory in itself to just be back, normal time frame 4 months later, your next fight? Is that kind of a victory in its own right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Me and my wife were talking about it today. She was like, man, this is incredible. Because it was so long and it was devastating and it was difficult. And I just thought, man, I don't know. And then 4 months later, I'm ready. And not only that, I didn't get injured after my last fight. So technically, I've been training, pretty hard since October, when I found out I was fighting Marcio.
Yeah.
In December, So it's been great. It's been fantastic.
What kept you on the sidelines for 2 years, that was the wrist injury, right? Nothing else?
Yeah, I had 2 surgeries kind of go bad and had to have them redone, and so the process was drawn out, and the recovery was drawn out, and it was already a pretty substantial injury, so it takes a long time to heal. What like the ACL in my wrist.
What exactly was wrong?
Ligament.
What was wrong?
It detached. So the ACL of my wrist, which is the scapholunate ligament, detached from the scaphoid and the lunate and stuck back up in my forearm. And so my wrist was sloppy and painful, and I couldn't grip, like my grip strength. So like an average guy's about 100 pounds, and mine was at about 30, and my other hand was roughly 200 pounds.
Wow.
And so it was like, it was like, I don't know, the grip strength of an elderly woman, and it was in excruciating pain. I literally couldn't pour a cup of coffee with my right hand. And so when I got it fixed, I took the time to, it was about a month. I had it all casted up. They took the stuff off, and then after my first appointment, they said, it detached, and we need to revise the surgery. And I was like, oh. And then it was another 2 weeks before surgery, and then I had the revision, and it messed up again. There was another issue, and they had to go in and change it, do something different. And so it was another month, and then another couple of weeks, and then 6 or 7 weeks later, they took some of the hardware out, and then another 6 or 8 weeks, they took the hardware out again, and then it was on the healing process. So it just took extra long to heal it up, to get it back to where I could use it. And then building it back up to where I can punch and grab and, and submit and, build up my grip strength. That just took a tremendous amount of time.
Was this something that happened as a result of fighting? I mean, I'm sure there was a buildup and whatnot, but did something specifically happen to your wrist in training or in a fight?
I was fighting Ryan LaFleur, and I have one picture that that was taken that I saw. And I leaned down. He's the southpaw, so he was throwing a left knee, and it caught me right on my right wrist. And I don't remember it during the fight. I remember my hand hurting, but it wasn't, there's a lot of adrenaline and stuff, and you get hit, and I don't know, every fight's a little different, and I didn't necessarily notice it until after the fight. But there's a big, nasty knee where my hand's on my chin, but the knee lands square right on my right wrist. And it's just, that's the only thing that I could, narrow it down to, other than maybe if I punched him and it rolled it or something. So that's kind of from the doctor's advice, or the doctor's opinion was that somewhere during the fight it got rolled, or it got bent or pulled or hit at some angle or some way to where it just detached that scapholunate ligament.
Obviously, that's a very key part of your arsenal. Was there ever a point where you thought that this might be it? That if they don't fix this, they can't get it right, your wrist doesn't heal?
Because the first after I did the therapy and I did the stuff, after the first time, and after about 6 or 8 weeks, I kind of figured like at 6 months, I'm like, okay, at 6 months, I'll be ready to roll. So I kind of had it scheduled out, and I figured out, and, after the first one, I just thought, holy cow. And then after the second one, then I hit the year mark, and I was just like starting to do therapy. And I just thought, I don't know. I mean, 'cause you can train with one hand, but it's not the same. Like you can't grapple and you can't do the conditioning you need. And, I guess you can, but I wasn't, I don't know, man. And I just kind of, it was devastating, to say the least. It was absolutely devastating. And those thoughts did cross my mind, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do after? What if I don't have it anymore? What if I can't compete? Because, I mean, in this game, man, you're out for 6 months, man. You got new blood coming in. You got new people coming in, new stuff. There's people getting their shots. And everybody's so good now, and everybody has such great training that it's just like, I don't know, I started feeling a little less than, and I just thought, shit, man, I don't know if I have it. And, at about that year mark is when I said, you know what, I don't know. I don't know if I should hang it up and go on to the next thing, or if, and it just kind of came to me one night, I just decided, I made a decision, and I said, you know what, I still have it, and I'm gonna give it my all. And so, I don't know, just one specific day, I talked to my coaches, talked to my close family, some spiritual advisors that I have, and a lot of people that I surround myself with in recovery, and I just made a decision that, I still had some fight in me, so that's what I was going to do. So I just kind of set everything aside and focused on becoming the crusher again,
During those 2 years, how did you support yourself and your family?
Well, I used to be a commercial plumber, and at the wages, so October 26, 2007, I quit my job to become a professional athlete. I was fighting, and I was making about the same money. Well, roughly, a little bit less. But I was fighting a lot more often. And I just kind of, when I quit that job, and I made it into the UFC a couple of years later, I decided, with some help from my accountant, to pay myself what I was making as a plumber 2 or 3 years before that. And so I had a pretty substantial savings, and that's what I do. So it's kind of like I got asked last time, what are you going to do? You renegotiated your contract, you're making a little more money, you won the fight, you have a pretty good lump sum, what are you going to do? And I was like, nothing, man. I said, I didn't make anything extra. CMFM Incorporated made pretty good money December 12th. I said, I got paid on the 1st, and I pay myself a salary every month, whether I make 30 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand, it doesn't matter. I pay myself a humble salary, and that's what I live off of.
Wow.
So I pay myself about 30 grand a year, and then with expenses, I pay myself about $3,100, $3,200 a month, and that's what I live off of, regardless. So I was able to float for a little ways, and then I started dipping into that savings, and I don't know, I've listened to Dave Ramsey, so I did the prudent reserve stuff, and I had that backup. And then I've been speaking for a number of years, and now there's some fees associated with me speaking, and so I kind of ran off of savings, and then I picked up speaking engagements, and they really started taking off. So how I supported my family was with good savings, and I started speaking.
Wow, that is amazing.
Motivational talk, recovery talk stuff.
Yep.
Anywhere from high schools, junior highs. I've been to prisons. I've been to colleges. I've talked all over the place.
And I mentioned at the top of the show that April 16th it's an important day in your life.
The most important day in my life.
All right, so you tell the world, why is April 16th an important day?
Well, given God willing, I make it there sober, I'll have 10 years of continuous sobriety.
Wow.
That means I haven't used or drank, including I stayed sober through all 4 of those surgeries I went through.
Wow.
And all 4 of them I went through non-narcotic.
Wow.
It's just it was the worst day and the best day of my life. It was the best day of my life because I quit using and drinking, and the worst day because I didn't think I could go one day without a drink or a drug. That's how I lived. And that was my solution to everything. If I needed more energy, I would take this. If my solution to life was getting loaded, and it wasn't working anymore. And so the best day of my life, because I quit, but it took a lot of work, and it's been the most difficult thing I've ever done, but the most gratifying thing I've ever done. But yeah, if you would have told me 10 years ago, Court, you're going to be on a Fox card fighting in the UFC. You'll have a family. You'll have a wife and 2 kids. You'll have your own vehicles. You'll have your own fishing poles. You'll have taught your kids all kinds of great stuff. You'll have a relationship with your family, both families, your wife's family and your family. I mean, I didn't have anything. I didn't have shit. I was homeless, unemployable. I had nothing, man. I had nothing. I had no wife, no kids, no friends. The 1 or 2 friends that I had since one spent a significant amount of time in prison, and the other one passed away on my 6-year sobriety birthday.
Wow.
Both of which I share when I speak and share my story. That's kind of the group I surrounded myself with, and that's who I was. I was just as confused as they were,
Did you know?
But if you'd have told me 10 years ago, man, I would have said, no way. No way. I wouldn't have given myself a shot in the world. Crazy.
Did you know that the UFC had a card on April 16th, or did they offer you that and then you...
No, I had no idea.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I asked for that Tim Means got injured, and he was fighting at 170 against Donald Cerrone.
Yep.
And I had been helping Steve Seiler train for his title fight. And Steve Seiler and my other teammate, Dana Aristizabal, have went and trained with Benson Henderson when he was fighting Donald Cerrone. So they're like a good, I'm not going to say they mimic, but their style is a lot like Donald Cerrone. So I'd been helping them train for a title fight outside of the UFC in Titan. And so we were going for 5 rounds, and when Tim Means dropped out, Steve was like, you should ask for that fight. So I asked for it, and they said there's a possibility, so just be ready. And I said, absolutely, and I just offered to take that fight. So I started training for that title fight, or not title fight, but main event fight, because it was going to be 5 rounds, and I was already training for it. So, I was ready. I was really, stepped up and ready to go. And then the other cowboy got to fight. And I don't know, man. I just been ready to roll.
Wow. And then when you realized that it was April 16th, you got that offer and that it coincides with the potential 10-year anniversary of this incredible milestone, how did you react to that? Do you believe in these kind of weird coincidences?
I don't know, man. There's been a lot of coincidences in the last, almost 10 years, but Joe Silva said, we're not going to have you for this fight. Maybe we'll schedule you for March or April. And so I said, okay, cool. And I remember I didn't hear much about it, and then I just had a feeling like, I bet you money that they're going to schedule me for April 16th. I just have a feeling. And then I booked a speaking engagement here in Utah. So I'm speaking for the juvenile justice, everything. So this big assembly they have once a year. And it'll be kind of my foot in the door to every juvenile justice center in Utah. So I can talk to the kids who are already struggling, that are locked up in facilities, that are going through the things that I went through when I was young. And so I'm speaking to that group. It's everybody who runs juvenile justice. I mean, there'll be all kinds of probation officers and this and that there. So I booked that for the 22nd, and I thought, you know what, they're going to schedule it for the 23rd, and I'm not going to be able to speak. I hope that doesn't happen. And then I got the text message, hey, April 16th, and I was like, no shit.
Wow.
And then I text back to Joe, and I said, if I make it, I said, that'll be my 10-year sobriety birthday, man. And he said, wow, really? And I said, yep. So, I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, to say the least. How do you, and forgive my ignorance, this is just a little new to me. How do you, for lack of a better word, celebrate that day? Like on Saturday, do you do anything to, I don't know, is that just I mean, obviously it's not just another day, but do you do anything to honor the day? How will you be on Saturday? And especially now as you are preparing to actually fight on the same day?
Well, I mean, so in my first, year of sobriety, a lot of it was for me, to show me. And now, it's like the longer that I'm in recovery, and the longer term of sobriety I have, the more I realize that life is a one day at a time thing. Recovery is a one day at a time thing. And the most important thing is my deep, dark past, and that past is kind of the key to my success for helping somebody else who's struggling. You see what I'm saying? So I can work with somebody who is at their deepest, darkest, and I can talk to them, and they know that I know where they are. So when I celebrate that day, I'm not necessarily yeah, it's a celebration. But it's more, I guess it's more to show that it's possible. And there's a lot of stigma surrounding addiction. You think of an alcoholic, you think of the guy panhandling on the street. When you think of a drug addict, you think of the guy breaking into my house, stealing shit out of my garage, shooting dope. And when I stand up and I speak and I say I'm court and I'm a person in long-term recovery, when I tell my neighbor, it's like I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, they're just like, no, you're such a good guy, and you're why? And I said, yeah, man, I'm in recovery. And I said, a lot of people like that are I mean, everybody that I know who's in recovery are incredible people. And we're incredible people. We can do incredible things, but when we're not, loaded, when we're not drunk, when we're not, shooting dope, I'm a great person and I can do great things, but I can't when I'm on heroin. I can't when I'm snorting OxyContin, and I'm one of those people who can't drink normally. And I have friends who do drink. My dad is a normal drinker. I have family members that are normal drinkers. I just can't do it. I can't have one. It leads to one more, and it leads to there's not enough in this world, and then it leads to the chaos that I came from. Part of the reason why I speak, man, it's to not forget where I came from, and I relive a lot of those things that happened. I used that little Sports Center piece that ESPN did on me as my introduction.
Yeah.
And when I see that, man, I just see the devastation I put my family through. My mom standing over me at the ER, after they'd done defibrillations and CPR, and just thinking now me as a parent, I think of what I put my dad through, standing over me. And my dad is, he's been the hero of the city. He's donated almost 60 gallons of blood. He retired. He's one of the most wonderful individuals and caring individuals in the world. I look up to my dad more than anybody else in this world. And the same thing goes for my mom. She's a nurse. She's a caregiver. She's phenomenal. They've been married almost 40 years. They didn't do anything wrong. I mean, they raised me right, more than right. I'm an alcoholic. That's the only thing. That's the thing. It's nothing they did. There wasn't one specific time in my life where something happened that made me like, I think it was inherent in my personality long before I drank or used. And so when I drank at 15, 16 years old and smoked the marijuana and took the pills, it's like I triggered an allergy. And, right at first it was fun, but as soon as I left high school and found out that I wasn't going to be able to wrestle in college, the next best thing was like, okay, let's numb out with some alcohol. Let's start partying. And my party just didn't stop. It started on Monday and ended on Sunday, and it just didn't stop. And I lost everything really quick. I went from graduating high school with honors and being an outstanding wrestler in Utah to homeless.
Man, what an inspiration. It's amazing. And I hope that they mention this on Saturday, if all goes well, as you said, God willing, before your fight, during your fight. I mean, the world should know this story. And I really appreciate you opening up there. Quick side note, and I wish we can talk about this more, because I know that you just talking about it gives a lot of people a lot of hope. You've also started your own business, which I can definitely get behind, something that I love. Tell the world what this is. This is great.
The Old Abe Beard Co.
Yes.
Yes. So we started an Instagram, Old Abe Beard Co. And you can kind of check it out on there.
Yes, we're actually showing a picture of it right now.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, and then oldabebeardco.com. It's our website, and I want to apologize in advance. It's less than satisfactory. It's a Square Up account, but we had to start somewhere. And the product photography came from my iPhone.
That's fine.
But it works. It's effective. And there'll be lots of little things to figure out and fix. But it's we wanted to start with something that worked. So we wanted to start that a lot of my friends that, I don't know, man, I've been the beard guy. I've been kicking people and punching people in the face for 8 or 9 years now, and I've always had a beard. I've always rocked a beard. That's my thing. Since I was a little kid, after my grandpa retired, lieutenant colonel military, grew his beard out. He was a farmer, and I was like, I want to be like my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, every 6 months he had to have a respirator fit up on Hill Air Force Base, so he would grow his beard out and then have to shave it, and when he retired, he's got this great big beard. And I just always knew as soon as I could grow a beard, I'm going to grow it. And I've only shaved it once since I could grow a beard, and that was when my first son was born. And then my wife never asked me to shave it again. So I will always have facial hair, and I've been rocking the beard since I could. And I don't know, I've been sponsored by a couple of beard products and beard product companies. And I finally, just between me and my friend, we've been talking about it for a while. We decided to start something. So we started, and we wanted something that was effective, that would stop the itching and like beard dander. We wanted it to work, number one. And then number two, we wanted it to like not smell like fish or lasagna. I used a couple of them, man, and I would wear it and it smelled good at first. And then, an hour later, it was kind of like it would smell fishy, like it smashed up an omega-3 into my beard. And so I just thought, man, there's got to be a better way. So we found a blend that we liked. We started messing around, tinkering around with it, and we got it worked out so that it was effective. And then we started to work out, with some essential oils and some smells, and came up with a pretty good proprietary blend. And it was just, it took a lot of work. So we did a beard balm, we did a beard oil, and a beard wash.
Wow.
And that was kind of what we started with. We just came out with our second oil, the Kentucky Bloodline. Our first one's smoking jacket, so it's a tobacco and vanilla. But our kind of our base, like, that's good for your skin, mixes well with those, and we wanted to mix those with a smell that was like, hey, this is the smell we're going for. And when you smell it, you automatically think, okay, that's smoking jacket. Not to mention the effectiveness, it's nice soft beard, clean, looks good, but is it effective, Yeah. So, I don't know. We did a lot of work and a lot of, we put a ton of time into it, and there it is.
Well, I wish you the best with it, Court. That is a great idea. Old Abe Beard Co. And, if you want to support one of the good guys in the sport, definitely support that, whether you have facial hair yourself or someone that you know. It's a fantastic idea, and I'd love to try some. I don't have a beard quite like yours, but I'd love to try some as well. I wish you the best, Court.
You know what? You got the best journalist beard.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
There's an award for that. Boom.
Thank you, my
Done.
friend. Good luck on Saturday. Again, thank you for sharing the story. What an inspiration you are, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in action in Tampa on Saturday. Thank you, Court.
Hey, thank you for having me.